if you enjoy figuring out, how things work or how to fix things, I would strongly recommend actually pursuing a career in engineering.
So, good morning. My name's Chloe and I work as one of the branch managers here for Pertemps. I'm joined this morning with Sehrish, who is a senior building service engineer for Historic England. I'm so thrilled to have you here with us this morning. We've been rolling out these podcasts as part of our Pertemps Engineering initiative to inspire younger generations, specifically female, take interest and encourage consideration for engineering roles in the future. So, Sehrish, if we could start, tell us a little bit about yourself and your current position with Historic England.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me. So I am Sehrish Wakil. I work as a senior building services engineer at Historic England. Part of my role involves improving and helping conserve and maintain historic buildings, primarily through their building services. So what we cover through building services is anywhere from your heating systems to your ventilation systems to your cooling systems and all your electrics and lighting. And there's a whole vast variety of things that we tend to deal with. But my main passion and focus over here at Historic England is actually decarbonising buildings, decarbonising historic buildings. One notable project that I'm currently working on is actually decarbonising our own head office, which is known as the Engine House across in Swindon. And it's actually the very place where the Great Western Rail was designed by Sir Isambard Brunel. So it's got a lot of history, that particular building. So it's quite an exciting time to be involved. But in a nutshell, that's what I tend to do in my day-to-day.
Amazing. So, in your own words, could you give us a bit of background about Historic England? Because having done some research myself, obviously it's an absolutely fantastic organisation that essentially kind of takes care of England's historic buildings and environments. But yeah, in a nutshell, tell us a little bit more about the business and what it is that you do.
Sure. What we do here at Historic England, so we're a public body who are funded by the civil service, also known as DCMS. And what we tend to do, we're a statutory body that holds an impartial view on the care and well-being of historic buildings and listed buildings mainly across in England. And these are what we tend to deal with. And that can be anything from providing advice to building owners to acting as advocates for building owners. We do quite a bit of grant work and casework with buildings. And really it's just us sort of providing that technical guidance and guidance on how to best conserve and maintain historic structures throughout the whole of England.
Lovely. So I'm going to throw it back a few years to when you were at school, because obviously the intention of us having this conversation and these podcasts that Pertemps are hosting is really to focus on drilling down what that journey looks like for younger people and how to spark an interest, where does the interest come from, and what opportunities are out there for people that may not actually know the wider picture of engineering, because it is so broad. So when you were at school, so kind of early years, secondary school, primary school even, college, university, what kind of sectors, what kind of studies did you participate in?
Yeah, sure. I'll take it from A-level. So I did chemistry, maths, biology and physics. And I really liked science and maths at that time. I really liked problem solving. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do back then. I was in two minds about what I actually wanted to study at university. I knew I liked problem solving, but I also liked being creative. So it was about trying to find something that had a balance of both. And engineering just seemed like the right subject for me. I'd attended a few open days at various universities, and I really loved talking to the students about what they were learning, and that was something I just really wanted to pursue and see where it took me.
Yeah. And at that point, did you recognize a difference between the other students that were attending these types of open days? Did there seem a big divide between the amount of females versus males? And if so, how did it make you feel at that point?
Oh, yeah. So I would say even back when I was at A-level, when I was doing my A-levels, there weren't a lot of females taking, let's say, physics subject. or even chemistry. I found that in a class of 30, there were probably around 5 or so girls that were all sort of grouped together in one table. So I noticed it. I noticed it as early on as that. And even when I went to university, we shared our engineering course with some of the other engineering degrees, and all combined, I think there were at one point about 12 girls in a hall full of 300 students.
Wow.
So the numbers, the ratios were really shocking.
Yeah.
And that's just something that you got used to. And it definitely was a bit daunting at the time. And I just found that I really just wanted to make a difference back then. And I just was kind of like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be that pioneer, that woman that will go forwards
Yeah.
and, help with that gender gap. And, talking to my other fellow colleagues when I was at university, they'd experienced similar feelings.
Yeah. And was there any support kind of at that point for, the smaller group? Did you find that there was like a stronger bond between the other girls that were on these courses? I'm sure, over time you've probably created really strong friendships with these people, having kind of experienced a similar journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially at university, I would say that that bond created some lifelong friends for me. I'm still in contact with them. We still meet up every year, every so often when we can in our busy schedules. It tends to happen when you're an adult. But I would say that that was something that really bonded us. But really, it helped us create an environment where we were able to empower one another throughout the course and lift each other up and encourage one another to really do the best that we could.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's gone on to do amazing things within engineering and technology. And it's always great to see. And I think we're all really big supporters of, women supporting other women, and helping each other across.
Fantastic. So A levels then, very very STEM orientated. At what point did you then make the decision to do the university degree that you did in mechanical engineering?
Yeah. So I had attended a few university open days, spoken to some of the students that had been doing engineering and various engineering subjects, and I thought, oh, this sounds really interesting. But I was also really inspired by what engineers do on a day-to-day basis. So, you've got these huge structures that are constantly being developed throughout history, and currently we've got transport systems, railway systems, these huge gigantic buildings and structures, and you just wonder how, who came up with that? How were they designed? And ultimately, I knew I wanted to make somewhat of a difference, and I wanted whatever career I did in the future to have some meaning. And I just thought engineering was the way to go. Engineering was one way to achieve that and help contribute to something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess with that reasoning, and with the reasoning that, I quite enjoyed problem solving and being creative and quite like the sciences, engineering just seemed the logical choice for me at the time.
Yeah, definitely. And so the course, how long was the course? How long were you studying at university?
So I did and what's known as a Masters of Engineering. So it was an integrated master's. So I did mine for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. And what did that consist of? So I think that, you mentioned that you did quite a lot of work experience during that time. So what kind of experience did you gain throughout that?
Sure. I mean, during the degree itself, I did quite a lot of project work.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the engineering degree, you get quite a few opportunities to work in group projects, communicate with other people on your course, and learn how to work together as a team to achieve a final desired product. But in addition to that, during my summer holidays, I used to take part in internships. So I used to go off in technology internships, try and get as many experiences I could within the field of engineering, just to understand what it was that I wanted in a career, and to also help me with my employability prospects and help strengthen my CV. So I found that by going to these various work experiences and internships, I gained a really good sense of what it was to be an engineer and what that career might look like and what field I might want to specialize in.
Yeah, brilliant. And then kind of at the point that you finished university and started looking for your first opportunity, your first career within engineering, Did you find that that process again felt more leaning towards a male gender, or did you find that it was quite diverse and there was no roadblocks for you during that time?
You know what? When I was starting out, I found that it was quite male dominated.
Mhm.
So, back when I was doing those internships, a lot of the time, and even when I first started out my career, my first role, I was actually a process engineer, and then I moved on to consultancy. And a lot of the time, I was the only female in the room or
Mhm.
in the project team. And it was something that you just had to really get used to. And it made you a stronger person in a
Yeah.
way, because you learned how to communicate better, how to get your point across, especially when you're working with some very senior people in a room. And there are a lot of, bold personalities and everybody wants to get their say across. Sometimes you felt you sort of had to learn how to really own the room, own your space, and present yourself across. And I found that those experiences actually helped me later on in life and in my current career. But funnily enough, now that I'm here at Historic England, it's quite the opposite here actually. We're actually quite female dominated in our engineering team. So our
Brilliant.
structural engineering team is majorly very much comprised of female engineers, and we have a few male engineers as well. And the building services team, which I work in, we're about 50-50. So it's quite lovely. It's quite a nice change. And it's great to see that actually the gender gap is improving in certain
Yeah.
sectors. And hopefully the only way is up from here.
I would totally agree with that. Definitely, definitely. So I think, one other thing that I'm interested in hearing from you is if you were, and obviously, hopefully there will be many younger generations that are listening to these podcasts. What would your advice be to somebody that is currently in that situation where I don't really know what I want to do, but I know that I'm creative. I know I like design. I know I like to fix things. What would your advice be to somebody that is feeling that way at the moment?
What I would say to young girls and anyone really considering engineering at this point in time, is don't rule out engineering just because it appears to be very male dominated. It's a broad and exciting field that's really about solving problems. It's about being creative, and it's just about making a difference in some way, shape, or form. It's about making those improvements and exploring what you can do with what you have. And you don't have to necessarily be a genius at maths or science. You just need to be curious and have that eagerness to learn.
Mhm.
And if you enjoy figuring out, how things work or how to fix things, or you just want to learn more in the world and learn more about life, or even create something, innovate, I would strongly recommend actually pursuing a career in engineering. I would say girls absolutely belong here. In fact, we need more. It's the reason why we need to improve diversity in engineering, because we need to hear from people from all sorts of backgrounds to help us with our designs and improve our communities and spaces that we live and breathe in, especially from a building services perspective at the moment. In fact, fun fact, a lot of our standards are based off of a very specific demographic of an older male. So you can tell who it was who had set those standards, and they're still followed today. And there are various groups trying to rally against that and,
Mhm.
promote more equality. But it's just, bringing things like that to light. And you wouldn't be able to get that through if you didn't have diversity. You didn't have diversity in gender, age, or background. So I would say go for it.
Yeah. I think that's a really, really strong message. And I'm so thankful to be able to have conversations with individuals like yourself that definitely share, a joint force to want to inspire people into the world of engineering because it is so broad. Just touching back on obviously how long you've been with Historic England, how long have you been with the business now?
So I've been with Historic England for about a year now.
Yeah, perfect. And, what are your aspirations and, where do you see, your role and the journey and the opportunities available to you? Are those widely spoken about within the business as to, where your career can go from here?
Yeah. So I would say absolutely. We have regular review sessions here at Historic England where you actually get to talk to your line manager, set your goals throughout the year, talk about some of the training you want to do, some of the skills you want to explore and, gain new skill sets. And that's really big here. We're very big on training and upskilling here at Historic England, which is always fabulous. And although I've only been here a year, I feel that I've been able to achieve so much due to that mindset. It's quite a lovely growth mindset to work with, which is always fabulous. I would also say that being able to have that plan in place, my biggest aspiration at Historic England is probably to eventually get to the point where we're able to decarbonise all of our buildings across our estate. So when it comes to our building services and all the different external cases that we tend to work with, being able to advise them on how to best decarbonise their buildings and implementing that as best practice and everybody actively getting involved in this scene, that's something that I would say is my major aspiration.
Yeah.
One that hopefully we see becoming more apparent in the coming years.
Yeah. And honestly, your passion for what you do and the difference that you're making really shines through. So it's very refreshing to hear. So thank you for that. Just having a think about, where we stand at the moment for kind of early years, school environments. Do you think that there's enough encouragement to be creative, to explore engineering as a whole? Do you think that, girls are getting the opportunity to try, experiment different things within science and design and maths to be exposed to those types of careers from an early age?
I think more can be done. So although there are a lot of initiatives going on at the moment, so, we've got the Women's Engineering Society, they've got various schemes that they run. They've actually just been running a work experience scheme for girls that have just completed their GCSEs to get involved in engineering. And that's something that we took part in as part of Historic England as well. But, they also have other campaigns such as the Lottie campaign as well to help drive that initiative. But I think more could be done in terms of integrating more opportunities, more hands-on opportunities in the school curriculums to help students gain that exposure to engineering, and not just women, but also, men as well. I feel it's that the whole career and field of engineering isn't properly expressed through school, and it's just something that you tend to get a bit of a culture shock when you actually join the workforce and you actually see what engineering is about. So I definitely think there are some steps and bounds that could definitely be implemented to help students gain a better understanding of what engineering involves and how it actually works.
Yeah, perfect. And then I think one final question from me to kind of conclude. If you were to be having a conversation with somebody that suggested that engineering is just for boys, what would your response be?
I would say absolutely not. So I would say that engineering is all about diversity, really. It's more so about expressing ideas, bringing them to life, being able to strategize a whole roadmap towards being able to achieve a common goal, which is essentially about improving the communities we live in. I think what we tend to forget is engineers tend to be problem solvers. Wherever there's a problem or a moving part, that's something we want to focus on and that's something we want to fix. Or make more efficient. And really, if you're someone with ideas, you can bring that to the table. I mean, I would say being able to bring new, fresh perspectives or being innovative knows no age or gender. And so if you have an idea, come along, bring it to the table, just know that you can own your space, own the room, and have the confidence to actually clearly communicate what it is that you want to bring forwards in terms of ideas and be successful in this field, because there are so many successful female engineers in history, and taking inspiration from them is what I would say is the biggest example of where this career can take you.
Yeah. Did you have any inspirations throughout your journey? Were there any female engineers that you kind of looked up to, aspired to, that kind of encouraged for your journey to head in the direction that it did?
Put me on the spot there. No, into mind. My mind's gone blank. There are many female engineers, but for some reason, no one's coming into mind at the moment. But I will say this. I would say that the women that I've seen in leadership positions in engineering have probably been my biggest inspiration thus far. You know, they've been indirect mentors to me and also direct mentors. And they've really helped me explore what I can do in my career and help me jumpstart to where I've come now, really. It's really by looking at them, looking at how they own the room and giving me that confidence to say, well, look at that. That's someone that looks like me. So I can be the same as them and I can do something as great as them.
Yeah.
That's really given me the confidence to accelerate in my career. And just knowing some of the amazing work that they do and the dedication that they show, it's really inspired me as an engineer as well.
Yeah, amazing. I would completely agree, and I think we need more people like you that are prepared to shout about it, so that the message does get out loud and clear. I want to say thank you again because it's been absolutely fantastic having the opportunity to speak to you and understand more about your journey. You know, from early years to where you are now, and it sounds like you're doing an absolutely fantastic job. So, from myself and on behalf of Pertemps, thank you so much.
Thanks, Chloe. It's been lovely being on board. And thank you also for having me and giving me a platform to actually share my voice and be heard.
Not a problem at all. You take care.
All right, you too. Right, thanks, Chloe. See ya. Bye.